Hi guys, and welcome back to a special edition of Held Dominance. Anthony here. Please remember to like and subscribe, and also click that notification bell if you're enjoying what you're seeing and want to see more. So, the Rugby League World Cup. Yes, we're having a turmoil with it at this moment in time, and there are people going out of their way to give ideas of what the Rugby League World Cup should be like now that Australia and New Zealand are not involved. Now, one of the ideas is bringing the Aboriginal Australian team and the New Zealand Maoris team into the World Cup fold. I think that is an absolute terrible idea. I remember watching the New Zealand Maoris team play in a World Cup in the UK, and their atmospheres surrounding the stadia were nothing. They had their war dances, which is their lot, and they had all their ceremonies to do with the being New Zealand Maoris. But it seemed a bit empty, trying to be a cheap copy. I'm sorry if that is not a good comment for anyone, but that's how it felt. It felt like a cheap copy of the New Zealand team. At this point, there are World Cup nations out there, and there's teams out there that are more deserving and more capable to bring those sides together. I'll give you an example. I've mentioned it in a previous previous video, that America have got some plans in place for the end of August in regards to their women's side meeting up on the 25th in Chicago. Now that's a group of 40 people, 40 women, for an American international meetup. Why not have that as turned out to be a selection committee for the American women's side to play in the World Cup? Announce it now, because then they can get their squads together, training a couple of days, and on the 31st, when squads are supposed to be submitted, they can submit a squad. They've had a training camp, plus they've got an international and a North v South game planned for after that, which they can bring closer towards the training camp and have it as a trials to make sure that they're all ready to be tuned up before they make the trip over to the UK for the intensive training camp to get ready for their games in the UK's World Cup. An American women's team. I know they're in the first year in Rugby League, but all that togetherness, all that learning, all that playing will make them more eager to go again in Rugby League. This is how good it gets. I can get the chance to play in competitive games, to play at a World Cup. Do you think they'll come back? The answer is resounding yes. On the men's side, the friendlies abandoned over in the NARL side. And also, the USARL are playing games at this moment in time. They're playing competitive games. Not only that, you have the West Coast side, the California Rugby League, and they have had games for the last 2 or 3 months. They're playing competitively, and they're playing hard and fast and tough. I'm sure that you can get together an American side from all those leagues. It's not hard to do, and it would be cheaper for Rugby League as a whole to have those teams involved rather than Australia and New Zealand. But I wouldn't count them as cheaper. I'd give them the same amount as every single one for participating in the Rugby League World Cup, and also the same facilities as everyone else in the Rugby League World Cup were supposed to get. Shuffle it around. Give New Zealand and Australia's facilities to Tonga and Samoa. Tonga and Samoa's facilities to Fiji and France. Well, France have got the Reebok Stadium. I don't want them going away. because I want them to be there so I can go there. But you know what I mean? Cycle it round, give them more. This is just a comment from me and my ideas. I have no affiliation with rugby league, but what I'm saying makes more sense because it's about growing the game. Yes, we want to see those NRL players playing in the Rugby League World Cup, the best players playing against our teams, all the other teams in the world. But they'll still be there in some cases. For instance, James Tedesco's played for Italy before. Just the one example, it may not happen this time. I'm just saying that that's the sort of situation that's happened. They could find their indigenous paths to other teams. And on the second tier nation format. But yeah, it's simple. It's simple to put together. Team 2 though. On the men's side, I would do Serbia. Serbia have been having their players playing in the French leagues, the French Elite 1 and 2. And they have done reasonably well. Plus, it's a nation that has a couple of sports that they play, soccer and handball every now and again. Basketball comes up there sometimes, but not as high as what they would like it to be. So there is a market that's pulled in there. Plus, they have their own league. They're playing an 18 league. They finished the league recently. Get them all together. Get them all ready for the trips over. There's one of the Serbia players that has got 100,000 people on Instagram as followers. He could promote it through that for Serbia. And imagine the outpour of support that will come from Serbia as soon as it's announced, possibly on national TV in regards to that. They would want to come. They'll want to fight. They'll want to fight for their chance to be Rugby League Nation, which is their right to do. On the women's side, choose one of the Australian or New Zealand side because they don't seem to be given a second thought about when it comes to the RLWC side. Then the wheelchair side. Again, one of the Australia or New Zealand sides, because the RLWC doesn't give a hoot about them, I'm afraid to say. It doesn't seem like it. They've not consulted them. They've not talked to them about it. They're not paying them. So why should they bother? We gladly have them at our World Cup because we want them at our World Cup. It's Australia or New Zealand. But it can only be one of them. Because on the wheelchair side, again, I'll go back to America. Because they have a wheelchair side as well. Just put together. And we want to support that. We want to grow the game in all different aspects of the world. And if we have those 3 formats coming from America, that's more eyes. That's rugby league fans in one of the biggest nations in the world. Possibly the richest nation in the world. We tell them all this story about what's going on with the Rugby League World Cup. It'll appear on ESPN. It will appear on Fox Sports. It'll appear everywhere. And to announce at the same time that America is going for the wheelchair, women's and also the men's, it'll spark more interest. And here's what I'd do for each of those 2 countries. I'd offer them the option to bring in over a TV crew to cover those games for free. We'll pay it out of our pocket. If they can't make money off something that they're getting for free, and they're fools. And I know they'll love to make money off if we do it, if we pay for them to come over, not charge them anything. Many different languages rugby league spoken instead of French and English. How about Serbian? How about American? Yes, I know, I'm kidding there. But that's my thoughts on the whole situation. Please, I'd love to see the NRL players play here, but let them play for Tedesco in Italy, or places like that. Trbojevic, has he got Serbian descendancy with that surname? Don't know. Could play for Serbia. The Trbojevic brothers playing for Serbia. That'll bring more interest in. All three to Trbojevic. It's just hypothetical. I don't know their descendancy. I'm just giving examples at this point. And I may be just waffling as well. And the plans might have already been chosen. But we need to look far away from the Australians and New Zealands to try and get them back in. And Indigenous and Aboriginal. Those are Coke and Coke Light differences. And now, on the financial point of view, they've already got the hotels and the bases and everything like that all set up. Replace the Australian and New Zealand, like I said, with people that are at that level. But on the financial point of view, I'd split the money evenly between every single team, barring the finishing four finalists, semi-finalists, and also winners. If the incentive is this amount of money to come to the World Cup and play in the World Cup, and then you get this much for going to the semi-final, and then this much for getting to the final, makes it more appealing for everyone. Even go to the quarter-final stage, put it at quarter-final. But that's my rambling rant. You'll hear more of my comments and more of the story in regards to the Rugby League in the next couple of days. And my reaction to Australia and New Zealand pulling out of the Rugby League World Cup. But this was just a little video on my thoughts of what could happen and what should happen in Rugby League for the World Cup. Remember to like, subscribe and share the video worldwide. Tell me what your thoughts are in the comments below about what I've said today. But in the meantime, all the best, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.